Alright, so if you've never really watched soccer or football, here's everything you might need to know about the World Cup without getting lost in the details. The FIFA World Cup is basically the biggest sports tournament in the world. It's not club teams like Real Madrid or Manchester City, it's countries. So instead of players representing clubs, they represent their nations, which makes everything a little bit more emotional and sometimes way more chaotic. It only happens every 4 years, which is part of why it's such a big deal when it happens. So if you miss it, you're going to be waiting a long time. Now, the 2026 World Cup is a little different. It's actually a lot different. It's the biggest one ever. There are going to be 48 teams instead of 32, which means more countries, more games, and more chances for things to get weird. It's also being hosted across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, which means for a lot of people watching this game, it'll finally be in our time zone. Here's how it works in simple terms. All teams are split into groups, 12 groups of 4 teams each. Each team plays 3 matches in their group. You get 3 points for 1 win, 1 point for a tie, and nothing if you lose. Once those games are done, the top teams move on until you get a group of 32 teams. And then it becomes knockout soccer. That means if you lose, you're out. No second chances. One bad game and you're on a flight home. If a game is tied, they play extra time. If it's still tied, then it goes into penalties, which is basically stress disguised as entertainment. Now, historically, even though dozens of countries compete, only a few actually win. There have only been 8 different champions ever, which shows you how hard it actually is to win. Brazil is the most successful team with 5 titles. They've kind of set the standard historically. The most recent winner is Argentina. They won in 2022, which a lot of people consider one of the best finals ever. Going into 2026, the favorites are mostly the usual teams. Spain and France are right on top, with England being a strong contender. Then you've got Brazil and Argentina close behind, along with teams like Portugal. So realistically, even though 48 teams are playing, most people expect the established teams to win, which is like inviting 48 people into a competition, but everyone quietly knows like 6 of them have a chance. But here's where the World Cup gets interesting. It doesn't always follow logic. Unlike club soccer, where teams play together all season, international teams only get a short time to play and train together. The chemistry isn't perfect, and that opens doors for surprises. For example, in 2022, Morocco made history as the first African country to make it to the semi-finals. That's the kind of thing that keeps people watching, because eventually, something unexpected would happen and change the entire story. Now, it's also important to note that the World Cup hasn't always been perfect. The 2022 tournament in Qatar was heavily criticized for human rights issues, including the treatment of migrant workers and concerns of how the country was chosen to host. There have also been corruption scandals within FIFA, including bribery connected to World Cup hosting decisions in the past. So while it's the biggest tournament in sports, it definitely has its controversies too, like most things that big. Looking ahead in 2026, this tournament is going to be bigger, longer,
girth and tonnage, right?
and probably less predictable than in the past. With 48 teams, there are going to be more matches and more chances for underdogs to make deep runs. And because it's in North America, you'll probably see a different atmosphere. Bigger stadiums, mixed fan bases, and probably a lot of people discovering the sport in real time. But at the same time, history tells it that the winner will probably be the group of elite teams that play at the highest level. So if you're going into this fresh, here's the simplest way to think about it. It's the world's biggest tournament played between countries every 4 years. The earlier games are about surviving your group, and the later games are straight elimination. The favorites are usually the elite teams, but there's room for surprises. And the reason why people care so much is because for a few weeks, it feels like the entire world is watching the same thing at the same time. The first game is on June 11th between Mexico and South Africa. Even if you don't watch soccer, it kind of pulls you anyway. And that's the World Cup.